This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
That looks like the shooter from New York. We were kidding about it, but then it was him.
It jumped the Pacific Coast Highway. That is a 4-lane highway.
McConnell is fine.
You should put American citizens first.
Bad guys getting rid of bad guys.
Central New York is where the federal government wants Micron's billions invested.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. Still in Pennsylvania, murder suspect Luigi Mangione was denied bail in Altoona, Pennsylvania this afternoon and is fighting extradition to New York to face charges of killing the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson.
Would delay his transfer to New York State by possibly even up to a month, although I think there's so much public interest in this, officials are going to really try to push this quickly.
Mangione arrested Monday in an Altoona McDonald's. This guy was sitting 10 feet from him and saw him eating hash browns.
One of my friends, and I thought he was kidding, when the shooter came in, he made a comment, "But that looks like the shooter from New York." I thought it was more of a joke, and we were kidding about it, but then as it turned out, it was him.
Mangione came from a wealthy family but had a beef with capitalism and the U.S. healthcare system.
He has a very strong pedigree, an Ivy League background, valedictorian of his high school. I can imagine that a family member probably did see him and probably was flabbergasted. And I know that they put out a statement saying that they are absolutely devastated and shocked.
Mangione had gone dark and not seen a family member or a friend in 6 months. Mass evacuations are underway at this hour after a wildfire exploded in Malibu, California. Thousands have fled their homes.
It is 0% contained. It jumped the Pacific Coast Highway a few hours ago. That is a 4-lane highway.
For a while, the campus at Pepperdine University was on lockdown. This student was hunkered down in the library.
I was trying to remain as calm as I could, but there were about 30 minutes where I genuinely did not know if I was going to be okay or not.
More than 2,200 acres burned. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is recovering after he fell at the Capitol. He sprained his wrist. There are cuts on his face, but otherwise, he's doing okay.
He was visited briefly by 2 medical responders who went into his office, briefly visited with McConnell, and then left. John Thune, who's the incoming Senate Majority Leader, has said that McConnell is fine.
Border disorder. Dual hearings held today on the border crisis in Congress. Tear-filled Patty Morin testified about her daughter Rachel, killed by an illegal immigrant.
You should put American citizens first. We are the ones that pay your paycheck. We are the ones that pay taxes. We are the ones that believe that when you went into office that you were going to keep your word and that you were the man or the woman that would uphold our values.
She told lawmakers America wants a crackdown on the southern border. The White House announced it's dispatching National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan back to the Middle East to again fight for the hostages in Gaza.
Look, Hamas has got to be looking out at the world today and realizing that the cavalry's not coming to rescue them.
To the north, Israel carried out dozens of airstrikes across Syria in an effort to destroy weapons and keep them out of the hands of rebels after the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime on Saturday. Kyria Ismail is a survivor of the overthrow in Syria.
It's impossible to find a woman who did not lose her brother, child, husband. There's not a woman in Syria who didn't lose someone.
Pennsylvania Congressman Glenn Thompson says President-elect Donald Trump is right to stay out of Syria, though.
We need to be very careful about overextending the United States, and interventions in the Middle East has cost us a tremendous amount in the past. So let's see what the people of Syria can do here.
Rebels now control the capital city. 10% of Syria is Christian. Fox News pundit Steve Hilton says things may go from bad to worse for them.
In respect of the Christians there, look what's happened over the years. The persecution, the execution, it's just been completely appalling. So the idea that we're just going to say, yeah, great, these guys are the good guys because they got got rid of a bad guy. You can have bad guys also getting rid of bad guys. It's a mess over there, and we need to be incredibly cautious.
And Christmas season has traditionally meant a return to church for those who otherwise rarely attend services. Family Life's Mark Webster, though, has results of a new survey on current trends.
Yeah, Lifeway Research asked 1,200 Americans about Christmas season church plans. Less than 40% of non-evangelicals plan to attend even once. Among those who rarely attend church, they say it's family tradition or pressure that might draw them to head to church at Christmas. Now, notably, among those who usually skip church, more than half said they likely would attend if someone they know invited them to. And that was especially true among the women surveyed. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, another foot of lake effect snow on the way. Micron just sealed the deal with the U.S. government. It means more jobs for central New York. And about 50% of New Yorkers don't want Kathy Hochul back. We've got those stories after weather with Kevin Williams.
Rain at times tonight, a steadier rain for a while tomorrow. The much colder air in its wake that'll flip that rain to snow late tomorrow and tomorrow night. The call for tonight, cloudy and damp with a little light rain from time to time, along with some areas of fog, below 40 to 45. Rain tomorrow becoming steadier and then flipping to snow from west to east and from hilltop to valley late in the day and the evening. Temperatures starting in the 40s and 50s, tumbling into the 30s. Then windy and much colder later Wednesday night and Thursday with locally heavy lake snow east of the lakes. Otherwise variable clouds, sun and flurries the high Thursday in the 20s.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories, making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. Say it isn't snow. Another round of lake effect snow starts tomorrow. A winter storm watch is in effect from Wednesday afternoon till Friday afternoon for Erie, Genesee, Wyoming, Chautauqua, and Cattaraugus counties in New York and Erie County, Pennsylvania. Accumulations of more than a foot are possible.
Erie, PA to Olean, New York. Locally, there could be upwards of 18 inches of snow.
Big news for jobs in upstate New York today. Tech giant Micron just finalized a $6 billion package with the U.S. Department of Commerce for a planned chip manufacturing facility in the Syracuse suburb of Clay. Senator Chuck Schumer.
It secures billions in CHIPS funding, no matter who the administration is. It's locked in. This is a legally bound commitment. Central New York is where the federal government wants Micron's billions invested, creating all those new jobs.
Construction on the site won't get underway until late next year. The whole deal is in response to the cell phone and computer chip shortage, chips that were once only made in China during the COVID-19 pandemic. A just-released Siena College poll shows the cost of living is the number one concern of New York voters. Only a third of New Yorkers say they'd vote to re-elect Governor Kathy Hochul in 2026. 57% say they want someone else. Pennsylvania ranks first in the nation when it comes to the amount of tax dollars collected through gambling. Josh Aircole with the Council on Compulsive Gambling.
It's kind of representing that dangling carrot that I'm just one click or one decision or one guess away from that big win. And unfortunately, for a lot of folks, that big win never happens.
Last year, Pennsylvania took in nearly $2.5 billion in taxes from gambling. New York was second. Nevada was third. New York's largest teachers union is calling for a statewide ban on cell phones in school.
Phone-free schools are markedly louder because students are having face-to-face conversations with their peers again.
NYSUT President Melinda Person says New York should follow the guidance of the Federal Department of Education and impose restrictions on phones in the classroom.
They specifically called for clear and consistent policies, which is the thing that we are lacking here in New York State.
70% of New York school districts already have a phone policy, though many do not include an overnight ban during the school day. Governor Hochul could announce a bell-to-bell cell phone ban during her State of the State speech next month. Next at 5, a nationwide project is seeking volunteers for Wreaths Across America, where Christmas wreaths are placed on the graves of America's war dead. Veterans will be honored at 4,600 cemeteries, including dozens of sites in Pennsylvania and New York, from Butler to Batavia to Buffalo, from Fairview to Scranton to Oswego. A longtime volunteer at the Bath National Cemetery shared details with Family Life's Greg Gillespie. Let's listen in.
Their mission is to remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. And the theme this year is Live with a Purpose.
How big of a project is that here in Bath, New York?
Well, Greg, in 2022, 3,700 wreaths were laid at the Bath National Cemetery, and the goal for this year is 6,000 wreaths at the Bath Cemetery.
And so these wreaths, where do they come from, and who are the people who place them?
Well, this originated in the state of Maine, in a small community there. I'm not exactly sure where all the wreaths come from at this time, but the vast majority of them, I think, still come out of that location. The wreaths are placed totally by volunteers who are aware of this and come up on a particular day and are involved in the placing of the wreaths at the various cemeteries.
Tell us about your personal motivation and how meaningful this is for you.
Well, my father was in the Navy in World War II. I was in the Navy during the Vietnam War. My son is in the Air Force. I've had a grandson in the Marines and another grandson in the Army, so we have a very active family background with the services. Just the whole idea of keeping the service of veterans before the people, whether it's at Wreaths Across America or on Memorial Day or Veterans Day, is something that's very important to me personally.
Are they still looking for volunteers to be there and take part in this Saturday?
Sure, that will be this Saturday, and it begins at noon with a short ceremony at the base of the cemetery. They disperse across the grounds of the cemetery to lay wreaths one at a time at the various graves. And yes, volunteers do not need to sign up. They just need to show up at 12 on Saturday morning. And there's parking. You can't drive up into the cemetery itself because it would be too congested, but there's parking below there, and shuttle buses are available to take people to the cemetery. Check the weather forecast and make sure you dress for the weather.
To hear more about Wreaths Across America, check out Greg's full interview at familylife.org. Just click on podcasts. Time next for tonight's market report, brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street is closing lower as investors await key inflation data. At the final bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 154 points to 44,247. The S&P 500 lost 18 points to 60,34. The NASDAQ dropped 49 points to 19,687. Faithward Advisors is a Christian financial planning firm online at faithwardadvisors.com.
Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. You are serving the Lord Christ. Hi, I'm Rob West with your Faith and Finance Minute. That verse in Colossians 3 reminds us to be grateful that we have a job and the ability to earn a living. Both are blessings from God. Once you grasp that, it becomes the key to changing your whole attitude about the workplace. When you want to grumble about work, think about what exactly you do on your job. No matter what it is, you're making someone's life better by providing a product or service. That's one reason why God ordained work, to make the world a better place. So take some satisfaction in your work, just not the credit. Psalm 29 says, "Ascribe to the Lord the glory due his name." We can help you learn to manage your money according to biblical principles when you download the free FaithFi app. You'll find it on our website at faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, we are eating out more. We're using services to get us through the busy holiday season, but how much should you tip? The rules change between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We got the latest after weather with Kevin Williams.
The call for tonight, cloudy and damp, rain from time to time, patchy fog and drizzle, low temperatures mostly at or above 40. Rain tomorrow becoming steadier and then flipping to snow from west to east and from hilltop to valley late in the day and the evening. Temperatures starting in the 40s and 50s, tumbling into the 30s. Some slushy accumulations for some later in the day and at night. Winds pick up behind that feature. Colder air is driven in. Lake effect snows are ignited, and those will be a story later tomorrow night to Thursday night. Clouds, sun, and flurries elsewhere on Thursday with high temperatures only in the 20s to near 30.
All right, Kevin, finally at 5, how much should I tip anyway? Bankrate.com's Ted Rossman says that depends on the type of service you receive.
The low end is mail carriers and trash and recycling collectors. The median there is $20. For teachers, it's $25. Landscapers, gardeners, snow removers are $30. And then housekeepers and childcare providers are $50.
Rossman says a good rule of thumb around the holidays is whatever you usually tip for a service rendered, just double pull it. And that's the world that we live in for Tuesday, the 10th of December. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.